Hello viewers, the white matter of cerebrum. Cerebrum consists of grey matter and white matter. Now we shall deal with the white matter of cerebrum. The white matter of cerebrum is so called because it is made up of myelinated fibers connecting various parts of the cortex of the same hemisphere or opposite hemisphere, or may connect the grey matter of the cortex to the other parts of CNS. Accordingly, the white matter is classified as association fibers connecting the grey matter of the same hemisphere, projection fibers connecting the grey matter of the cerebrum with extracortical structures, commissural fibers connecting grey matter of one hemisphere with the corresponding grey matter of the opposite hemisphere. The commissural fibers cross the midline and go to the opposite hemisphere. Association fibers are limited to the same hemisphere. Projections fibers are going out of the cerebrum. This is the basic difference between different types of grey matter. Association fibers are limited to the same hemisphere. Projection fibers are projecting out of the cerebrum, and commissural fibers are going from one hemisphere to the other opposite hemisphere. Association fibers connect the adjacent gyri to one another, wherein they help in coordination between the two closely associated fibers. For example, the precentral gyrus and postcentral gyrus are connected by the short association fibers. The postcentral gyrus is sensory and precentral gyrus is motor, so the association between the sensory and motor areas is facilitated by the short association fibers. And long association fibers connect the grey matter of the same hemisphere which are placed distantly. Areas of frontal lobe with occipital lobe are connected by the superior longitudinal fasciculus. The inferior longitudinal fasciculus connect the occipital areas with the temporal areas. Uncinate fasciculus connect the temporal lobe with that of the frontal lobe. Cingulum consists of fibers connecting the cingulate gyrus to the parahippocampal gyrus in the temporal lobe. The projection fibers are those that project out of the cerebrum, connect the cortex with the spinal cord, corticospinal, connect cortex with the pontine nuclei, corticopontine, and corticonuclear, connecting the cortex with the cranial nerve nuclei. Commissural fibers. The commissural fibers connect the corresponding parts of the two cerebral hemispheres. The frontal lobe with frontal lobe, areas of occipital lobe with occipital lobe of the opposite hemisphere, like that. The corpus callosum is the best example of the commissural fiber, connecting all parts of the cerebral cortex of the two sides, except the lower and anterior parts of the temporal lobe. Anterior commissure connects the structures of archipelida, namely the olfactory bulb, piriform area, anterior parts of the temporal lobe of the two sides. Posterior commissure connects the pretectal fibers or pretectal nucleus with the Edinger West pole nucleus of opposite side. Commissural fibers connecting the fornix are referred to as fornix, commissure of fornix. Fornix connects mammillary body with the fimbria, hippocampus, hippocampus and amygdaloid body. So fornix of right and left sides are connected through the commissure of fornix. Here is a reflection spot. What are the types of white matter of the cerebrum? What are the connections of posterior commissure? Once you have done with your answer, you can resume the video. Till such time, please pause the video. Now you must have written your answer, but you must have written that the white matter is classified into association fibers, projection fibers and commissural fibers. You must have also written that association fibers are short and long association fibers. You must have written that the posterior commissure connects the pretectal nucleus with Edinger West pole nucleus of opposite side. Now we will see the anatomy of corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is the largest commissure of the brain. It is recent in origin, so it is neopallidal in origin, and it attains enormous size of up to 10 centimeters. It connects all parts of the cerebral cortex of the two sides except the lower and anterior parts of the temporal lobe. It has got different parts. The anterior end is called as genu. It is the bent portion between the rostrum and body. It is most anterior part, lies about 4 centimeters behind the frontal pole. Below the genu, running backwards and downwards, is rostrum. Rostrum becomes continuous with the lamina terminalis in front of anterior commissure. Body or trunk is behind the genu and in front of splenium. It forms the roof of central part of the lateral ventricle. It is present below that cingulum, and the posterior part or posterior end of the corpus callosum is called as splenium. It is the thickest part of corpus callosum. The trunk or body, the superior surface of trunk or body is convex from before backwards and concave from side to side, related superiorly to falx cerebri. Here lies the falx cerebri. Anterior cerebral artery lies just above the corpus callosum and below the cingulum. The superior surface of the corpus callosum is also covered by the indusium, griseum and longitudinal striae, and of course is related to the cingulate gyrus, the prominent gyrus on the medial surface of cerebrum. Trunk or body of corpus callosum inferiorly forms the central part of lateral ventricle and gives attachment to the septum pellucidum that closes the lateral ventricle. The inferior surface of corpus callosum is convex from before backwards, concave from before backwards, it's concave, and convex from side to side. From side to side it is convex, and from before backwards it is concave. The relations of splenium are: superiorly the splenium is related to falx cerebri, inferior sagittal sinus, inferiorly the third ventricles, stylochoroidae, the pulvinar of the thalamus, and superior colliculus are related to splenium inferior. And splenium, in fact, is the thickest part of the corpus callosum and lies about 6 centimeters in front of the occipital pole. If you see the fibers of corpus callosum, the two frontal lobes are connected by the forceps minor. The areas of the two occipital lobes are connected by the forceps major. Rostrum connects the orbital surfaces of the frontal lobes, and tapetum is another form of fibers of corpus callosum that connect the body and splenium of corpus callosum to the temporal lobe, and these fibers form the roof and lateral wall of posterior horn of the lateral ventricle and lateral wall of the inferior horn of the lateral ventricle. Now that we saw the anatomy of the corpus callosum, here is a reflection spot. I would like you to answer these questions. What are the parts of corpus callosum? Name the fibers of corpus callosum. Pause the video and write down your answer. Now you must have written your answer. You must have written that the parts of corpus callosum are genu, rostrum, trunk and splenium. The fibers of corpus callosum are rostrum, forceps minor, forceps major and tapetum. Thank you for watching the video. In the next learning dialogue, let us see the anatomy of internal capsule. Thank you.